Process. Whenever I hear myself introduced, I'm always like, she sounds really interesting. To know someone like that sounds like me to me. Anyway, I'm very excited to be here to talk to all of you creative people. And if you're breathing, you're creative, so don't worry if you think I'm not a creative person, because you are. So I don't know if any of you, does anybody watch the television show Silicon Valley?
Yeah.
I love it. It's so funny. And it's about Silicon Valley, as you might imagine. And one of the running jokes on the show is that every startup in their pitch, whether they're pitching, you know, how to compress music more awesomely, or how to drone groceries into your backyard, whatever it might be, they always end their pitch with, and it will make the world a better place. And actually that is what I want to talk to you about today, how what you are doing and the way you work is actually making the world a better place. So at the risk of being trite, I'm going to plow ahead with that thought. We're all completely aware that the way commerce has been transacted for most of our lifetimes, is broken, does not work anymore. And freedom is the linchpin. Freedom is the key for each of us to navigate this change successfully and confidently. So when I was talking to Keith on the phone, he ran these statistics by me that were kind of mind-blowing. And they speak to how broken our existing system is for selling things, basically. There's nothing wrong with selling things. Selling things is value neutral. He told me that 200 million people have placed themselves on the do not call list. So that's gone. If you want to robocall people to get them to do something, that's out. 44% of direct mail is unopened, which breaks my heart. It's like, save those friggin' trees, please. And just, why are you trying to pitch me with something that I'm just going to throw in the trash? It's like a waste of time, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of resources. It kills me. 91% of people have unsubscribed from an email list that they were on. So that's not going to be a great way to get people to do things. And this is my favorite one. 86% of television viewers skip commercials. Yay! It's so great that it's possible to do that. So how are things changing? And what does freedom have to do with it all? So I had some experiences recently that really got me thinking about this. And they both involve the airline industry, which can be the source of some of the greatest frustration and pain in the world of commerce, period. So I'll briefly tell you these two experiences. The first was, happened last year. I was going to fly, can everybody see me? I was going to fly to Mexico with my husband recently. And there was a death in the family, and we had to cancel the trip. So we each separately called, because we each had to cancel our own ticket, called the airline, which shall remain nameless, Delta, to say, we've had a death in the family, blah, blah, blah. So each of us was told separately that we would have, we could use the ticket within a year. So about 8 months hence, I wanted to use my ticket. And I called them and they said, no, you had to use it within 6 months. And I had said to them, will you send me an email that says that? And they're like, oh no, you don't need that, you just need your reservation number. So I'm like, but what about my reservation? You told me. And they were like, no. So I'm like, supervisor, please. No. Supervisor? No. Supervisor? No. I got slammed at every phase of this process. And I was like emasculated or effeminated or whatever you want to call it. I was powerless. And it felt horrible. And I did solve the problem, by the way, and I'll tell you how in a second. But this clearly was a business that had no interest in me. This was a business that was built around controlling their own systems. That's what they existed to do. They did not exist for their customers. They existed to self-exist. Second experience happened with another airline, JetBlue, my favorite. I'm what the airline industry calls a nervous flyer. And that's the airline term for people that might wig out on the plane. And that includes people like, you know, there's a lot of people who are afraid to fly. There's no onus, it's no, I'm not ashamed of it or anything. I'm not afraid to fly, I'm claustrophobic. So my claustrophobia is about being in a place I can't get out of. So, you know, airplanes are one of those places. So I'm much better now, but I used to, this happened at a time when I was at my peak of claustrophobic paranoia. And I was going to fly, and the gate agent said, "How are you?" And I was like, I'm crying. And I'm afraid to fly. Oh, really? I was, you know, why? Statistics, blah, blah, blah. I'm claustrophobic. She said, okay, well, here's how you work it. If you're claustrophobic, the best thing to do is get on the plane first, which I had been thinking, oh, I'm going to get on last. Get on first. That way you have a chance to settle yourself, you get used to the environment, and then, you know, so you now qualify as one of those people who needs a little extra time to get on the plane, so you can go with the first group of the old people and the handicapped people and the children. I was like, thank you. So I got to my seat and I said, I tweeted, "Thank you at JetBlue. I'm afraid to fly and you're really making it easier for me." Tweet back. What flight are you on? Whatever it was. Tweet back. Your captain's name is blah blah. The second captain's name is this and that. They're great. They've been with us for a long time. You're going to do fine. I was like, oh my God. This business was built for me. This business was built for the customers, not to perpetuate their own systems. So maybe you've had good experiences with Delta and bad experiences with JetBlue, but these two experiences really got me thinking, well, what exactly are these changes going on in the world of commerce / creativity? Because in my mind, those things are not separate. We used to have a divide between people that did creative work and people that did commercial work. But now, if you do one, you have to do the other, which is very interesting and creative. So in thinking about this, I came up with what I call the 4 C's of freedom. And they relate to this sea change, not C, but sea change, in the way all of us here do business. And the first one is, you know, it used to be when you wanted to establish your business, you had to own something. A copyright, a product, a service, a building, whatever it is, you had to own it and claim it and fight off all comers. Now ownership is irrelevant. We all know that. It doesn't matter what you own. The way you establish your business now, whatever your business is by being innovative, by introducing an innovation. It has nothing to do with what you own. That's very interesting. An innovation or a disruption. And in order to innovate, what do you need to be able to do? This is the first C. Innovation requires courage. It doesn't take much courage to own something. But to innovate, you have to take your mind away from the 2 places that it normally goes, according to Buddhist thought and according to basically reality, as far as I can tell. The 2 places where our mind normally goes, and these 2 places each prevent us from being innovative. And the first place is called hope. I hope it will work out. I hope that people will like me. I hope that this will succeed. I hope that I won't be a poor person. I hope that, you know, people will like me, whatever it is. But we're wrapped up in those thoughts, which are very human and natural. We're not paying attention to what is possible in the moment. Second place is called fear. If this doesn't work, I'm screwed. Nobody's going to like me. I have to take this step because I'm afraid that this might happen if I don't. So if you start to look at your own mind, you'll see, because this is how we're built, that we're constantly bouncing between hope and fear. in everything we do. And you can't be in either of those places if you want to innovate. Because innovate is about seeing what's possible. And to drop hope and drop fear takes a lot of courage. Does that make sense? So that's the first C, courage. So to establish your business, you have to own something. No, you have to innovate something. The second step, to build your business, it used to be that you had to dominate. You had to either own or destroy any possible competition. So you had to just basically wipe out everyone, either by bringing them under your wing or by killing them. I don't think I'm exaggerating. Doesn't work anymore to dominate. Domination is stupid. Instead, what we have to do to build our businesses is iterate, which is a fancy, wonderful world for stop doing that and start doing this because it's a better idea. So to iterate requires the second C, which is called creativity. To be creative, you have to see exactly what is going on and what is possible, view the patterns, make snap changes without being afraid. When those changes work or don't work, build on that or go in a different direction. So the second C is creativity, courage and creativity. I know you all have all these things anyway. So to establish your business, own. To build your business, dominate. To maintain your business, it used to be that we had to control everything around that business, like Delta. These are our rules, and we do not verge from these rules. We control what people say, we give them scripts, we control how our business is served, we control our pipeline. We just need to control our people and have them do things this way and not that way. No one can be creative or courageous in an environment of control. That's antithetical to courage and creativity. So instead of trying to control to maintain our businesses, the desirable skill is the ability to execute. Boom, 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 boom. When you're trying to control, that is not the same thing as trying to do it, execute. You're basically trying to not do certain things and only do things a particular way. But to execute, you all know, anybody who works, everybody knows that speed and precision and focus and doing it on the spot is what is going to help your business survive. And I would call that that third C, consciousness. Being conscious of what is happening, what needs tweaking, what went wrong, where you need to pull it back, where you need to go forward. You have to be conscious if you want to maintain your business. Because it's it doesn't work anymore to just put a system into place and then push on and walk away. And the final C, my favorite C, is a change in the way we sell whatever it is we're selling. Product or service, ourselves or ideas, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Remember, selling is value neutral. And it used to be, up until very recently, that the primary means of selling anything was propaganda. Just propagandizing. It will do this, it will do that, it's best for this. It's want to hype you and feed you a line and create a narrative and just trick you, basically, into thinking you need this or you want this, to propagandize you. I don't know if that's okay. According to these statistics of direct mail and commercials, propaganda is dead, which is awesome. Now, what is the way to sell things? Does anybody have any guesses? Yes?
Care?
Yes! That's the fourth. Donuts. That's awesome.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Yeah.
Oh, why? How so?
I don't want to spout any propaganda, but I just launched a website that I interview other people, and I'm just trying to care about people instead of trying to sell myself, and that's been a big light bulb moment for me this past couple months. So
that really touches me.
It is changing. Everything you're saying is like a mirror that I've been thinking about. So it's really changing.
Fact. So instead of propaganda, we have to be authentic. The opposite of propaganda. We have to create real relationships with the people we work with, because no one's going to innovate or iterate or execute if they're afraid of you or if they don't like you. And I can tell you in my professional life, and I used to work in the music business such as it was for a pretty long time, and I've seen lots of startups and I've been involved in them and I have my own business and blah, blah, blah. I've never seen any business fail. This is a huge dramatic blanket statement, but I'm going with it. Businesses don't fail because they don't have enough money. They don't fail because they don't have enough talent. They don't fail because their idea is bad. And they don't fail because they are poorly positioned in the marketplace. And those are the 4 things that we think, oh, we need those. But whenever you look at an actual failure, it almost never boils down to one of these. And instead boils down to something like, and I'm making a little fun here, Missy didn't say hi to me, and I don't like her. And I'm not going to that meeting. Those little micro interactions that we have with actual human beings in our daily life, those are what cause things to go astray. And if we can protect those, doesn't mean be nice and be a wimp and just be cheerful. Doesn't mean any of those things. It just means care. Care about the people you work with. Then you have the gold. You have the secret sauce. And of course with our customers, one-to-one relationships, word of mouth is the secret sauce. That is the indestructible, undeniable means of selling anything. And it can only stem from a genuine thing. It's so exciting to me. It's so heartening. So the 4th C is caring. Who knew? So these 4 things, and this is going to be a brief, I just want to briefly say that these 4 things, courage, creativity, consciousness, and caring, they all have one thing in common. And that one thing is mindfulness. And I just would really like to take a moment to say that mindfulness is so much more than a self-help technique that can help you get a better night's sleep or lower your blood pressure or even make you more creative. It's so much more than that. It's a way of being in the world. And courage, the capacity to draw your mind from hope when it's mired there, and draw it from fear when it's imprisoned there, is the function of mindfulness. So therefore, courage and mindfulness are synonymous. Mindfulness and fierceness are synonymous. So that's very interesting. Creativity, of course, and mindfulness are basically synonyms. For this reason, they both combine, mindfulness and creativity, 2 seemingly opposite attributes. To be creative, you have to be very precise with what you create. If you're a writer, I'm a writer, so I think about that. It's word, word, word. You can't write 2 words at once. You have to pick each one. It's the same with anything you're creating. In the moment, you have to make constant decisions. You have to be very precise about those decisions. At the same time, you have to have a sense of what you're creating and where it's going. You have to keep your mind on the big picture. Your view has to be spacious. Mindfulness practice is precise. Breath, 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 breath. You place your attention on the breath, and when it strays, you come back. At the same time, it's called the practice of insight. How does sitting doing nothing but breathing make you more insightful? Well, it just does. 2,500 years of history will tell you that. Somehow a bigger space opens up in your mind and you see things you hadn't seen before. Anyone who meditates knows this. Realizations arise, ideas come up, I don't know why. But precise and panoramic, creative and mindful, the same. Consciousness, of course, and mindfulness are the same thing. To be conscious, you have to be present. You can't be conscious in the past or conscious in the future. You can only be conscious of what's happening right now. And mindfulness trains you to be present. It's something that you've probably heard if you've ever practiced it or done mindfulness. Oh, being present. That's what being present means. And then caring is sort of the interesting one. How does mindfulness, and how are mindfulness and caring the same? Well, I'll tell you now, I've been a meditator for close to 20 years, and I've taught a lot of people how to meditate at this point. And I've seen this in myself, and I've seen it in many, many other people, that when you have the courage to create what you want, and you're connected to your creativity, and you trust it, and you have the capacity to be conscious from moment to moment to moment, and trust that when you get screwed up or crying or overly excited that you can come back anyway, something really interesting happens. And it was the opposite of what I thought would happen, which is I thought, then I'll be invincible when I can do those things. But actually, when you can be courageous, creative, and conscious, you soften. Because you're not afraid anymore. And when you soften, you can care. But when you're involved in your fears or your hopes, everyone that walks through your movie, you know, we each have like a projector, we're projecting our movie everywhere we look, and someone walks in, oh, you're Cass, now you're my friend, you're Cass and little boyfriend, or whatever it is. We see everyone as a potential device for our own happiness or unhappiness. And that's not caring. Caring can't go with that. But when you can stop seeing other people as devices in your schemes, no matter how brilliant and uplifted they are, you can actually care about other humans. So mindfulness has this incredible connection to heartfulness. So, back to the how this changes the whole world part. The forces that govern our world, and then we can have a conversation, if you like. The forces that govern our world are not the forces of politics. They're not the forces of the media. The governing forces in our world are the forces of commerce. And as goes commerce, so goes our world. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's just how it is. That's what informs our culture, our view, our values, our priorities, commerce. When the values of the governing force start to shift from ownership, domination, control, and propaganda to courage, creativity, consciousness, and caring, it gives me a lot of hope. And you can know, and if you don't know it, I would like you to know it right now, that what you are doing in the world is of great importance, because you are bringing these qualities to bear. And it doesn't matter if you're bringing them to bear in your home office to just the people you happen to email with or talk on the phone with, or if you're bringing them to bear on a staff of 600 people that report to you. That part is irrelevant. It's you owning these values, bringing these values, implementing these values, that actually has the power to create a good human society. I'm not exaggerating. So please know that what you are doing, in addition to being brilliant or useful or whatever it might be, can make the world a better place. Silicon Valley be damned. So I think that's what I wanted to say. But if you have any questions or comments, I would be so delighted to hear them.
This is the best thing I've heard in so long. I don't pull punches, so I never say I like stuff. I hate everything. Absolutely.
That's awesome. And I'm not trying to get another compliment, but why? What is making why?
I guess it's just like talks that I hear are just like, hey, I made this accomplishment. Look at me. Hey, check it out. And it's not really about you. It's about everybody else. And I think that's cool that you own that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Feel like mine. Yes.
When you're talking about domination, I didn't expect you to go where you went with that, to go from that to creativity. I thought you were going to say collaboration. I was wondering if you could speak a little to that in terms of caring being the new paradigm.
She thought I was going to go from domination to collaboration instead of to creativity. Well, that's interesting. I'm a very uncollaborative person. So that might be why I didn't think about it. I work in my house by myself. I'm happy. I just so I'm always reminded by people, and I'm always grateful that that other people value, other people are interested in that. And so I really appreciate that reminder because my mind just doesn't go there. Collaboration is such a complicated, fraught, powerful. It's like the final frontier, I think, because it's so hard. A relationship between two people is almost impossible. A relationship between 9 people that are around something that's constantly moving is, people that can collaborate well, to me, rise to the top of the food chain. It's just like a really powerful skill. But it takes a lot of mindfulness to collaborate. It takes a huge view, and it takes all of the other qualities. Courage, because we all want to claim some piece of geography for ourselves, or make other people look bad so we look good. It takes tremendous creativity to collaborate. It is the ultimate, relationships are the ultimate creative act. Because they're always on the spot in the moment. And they're always about a communication, a response, a connection. And they're never static, always moving. It takes a lot of consciousness to collaborate, and it takes tremendous caring. So I would say that all 4 of those could lead to collaboration. But I think to jump right to, okay, now we all have to be collaborative, or we all want to be. Yes, we should be, and we want to be. Almost impossible. Because if we do it from a conceptual place, collaboration is good. I have to ask you what you think because someone told me collaboration is good. But if it's conceptual in that way, but genuine collaboration, which I'm sure is what you are talking about, has to come from these other qualities. So I guess that I would say those first, and then collaboration naturally arises. But I appreciate you bringing that up.
This is, I guess, a little bit hard to formulate as a question, but I guess that I think many of us have been exposed to this sort of level of mediocrity, and I guess it's fear-based that starting from kids where parents, like when I was a kid, we walked to school. Now parents drive their kids to school, even if it's a block away, or the things that like kids, everyone's a winner, that type of thing. And so, and as a former college professor, a lot of that has percolated all the way to the top as young adults. And to me, what I've been seeing is a lot of inertia in kids not really wanting to go beyond what's necessary to succeed, and how it's breeding a culture of, I think, in some cases, mediocrity. I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
Yeah, that's interesting, and it's heartbreaking. And my husband is the COO of Newbury Comics.
Oh.
And he works with basically only people that meet that description. It's awesome people there, obviously. It's an awesome company.
One of my best friends works there.
Okay. I was exaggerating. But he works with a lot of people under 25, let's say, and who grew up saying, everyone's a winner, and everyone's special, which makes no one special. So what, leads to, the thing that I see that it leading to, what I would call it, is just an inability to be accountable. And a lack of understanding of what it means to work. Because to work you have to fail and succeed and push, and it's not about just getting stars.
But did our generation do that to our kids? And why did we do that? Why did we sabotage, people who would be the mothers and fathers of the, what did we do to that generation to sabotage them? That's what the question I would always ask as a college professor. What did we do?
Yeah.
Why are these kids like that?
Well, I don't know. I have no idea. But my gut sense is that there's something about the conceptual nature of relationships. When you try to approach any relationship from a conceptual point of view, like it is right to do this and it is wrong to do that, it's kind of bloodless. And the juice and the heart and the warmth and the go away. So for whatever reason, we were afraid. And we came up with a manifesto for how to treat kids to get them to whatever, be successful or happy. And that will never work, whatever that manifesto is. Even if we take the opposite view, that won't work either. Because it's, in my tradition, Buddhist tradition, I practice in a Tibetan lineage called Shambhala Buddhism. A good world is created by each one-to-one relationship. That's the only way. How I talk to you right now, how you talk to your students when you're a professor. That's what counts, not your theory or your philosophy. So I wish I could give a more educated answer, but that's just my gut. Please.
One of the questions I was going to ask, and kind of tagging on what I've been thinking about a lot lately, is I've had this personal epiphany that we live in the most abundant world possible, connecting with others. And to me, that's been more overwhelming to stay connected and actually care about people. And how do I connect with those people? I guess my question would be, how do you focus and filter and find the people that maybe need the most help, or kind of focus on people that you really want to develop those deeper relationships when you're connected with thousands of people, online and sometimes in the world, you're connected with so many people.
So are you saying, of all the great sea of humanity that you are just naturally in contact with, how do you identify the people that most need to connect with you?
Yeah, there's so much noise out there that sometimes it's hard to focus. At least I have a shiny object syndrome often, and I just kind of tend to go where, as opportunities or people. The thing that you said that connected with me the most was not treating people as devices. And I think a lot of people that are self-employed, at least I've experienced this myself, I always try and be very forthright in how can I help this person, but sometimes, if I'm being honest, sometimes in the back of my mind I think, well, how can I connect with this person where we can help each other? And it's hard to focus sometimes of what I'm trying to do and how I can actually help them.
I see. So how do you push your agenda forward, but not sweep others up in it sort of unconsciously, but attend to them and what
I think I went into a two-part question there, probably two different questions, but I guess it's just hard to focus is the main thing for what I've experienced.
Mindfulness is the answer. Mindfulness is focus. And we all have to practice focus now because it's constantly stolen. Nothing encourages us to focus. And so if you have a practice where you practice focusing, and it doesn't mean, what do you think it means? At least I can say that now, having taught like more than 12,000 people how to meditate. Everybody thinks it means you're supposed to stop thinking. Stop thinking that. It's the only thing you have to stop thinking. It means being with yourself as you are. So when you have the ability to focus and then stop focusing and start focusing on something else, you can trust yourself. I mean, I have a community of whatever, 12,000 people that I don't know. But someone will pop up and ask me for something. I think if you basically exude a kind of open-heartedness and willingness and conviction, You will magnetize. This may sound a little woo-woo, but you will magnetize what needs your attention. But if you're focused on your agenda only, you miss all of that. So some presence of mind will help you in that very noble quest.
Thank you.
There's someone over here and then over here.
Yes. Hi. Are you, it sounds like you are, but are you optimistic about the way that this selling and branding is going with big companies like you mentioned? I mean, I work in the travel industry, so I like your airline story because I'm crazy about JetBlue too. But do you find that more are moving in that direction, like especially like the big brands like Delta or JetBlue? Or are you, like I'm afraid something else like a mailing thing or a call thing is going to come up, some other quick scheme, and then everyone's going to run in that direction. Like, what do you think is going to maybe happen, like as things go on?
Well, for the first time in my adult life, and I was, like I said, in the music business where there was always, this is the new thing, now we're going to do it this way, now this is what sells music, now this is what sells music. It's a very, the whole popular music industry basically rose and fell in like 75 years, just it's gone. I'm very hopeful because of the internets. Because people are talking to people, and the human quality is key. So whether we like that or not, and whether people try and find ways of taking advantage of the human quality, which everybody does, doesn't matter. Sometimes your intention's good, that's what matters. Other times it's bad. Still, being human is the most important thing. And as long as word of mouth continues as the primary marketing tool, we can count on this. Because word of mouth can't be, you can't throw a bullshit blanket over word of mouth. So I'm very hopeful. I'm truly happy about the prospects. So I think 2 more and then we'll be done. Yes.
So to answer, or I guess pose another question against, I don't know who made the statement about young people being self-entitled, but I'm under 25 and having just graduated from college 3 weeks ago, I was kind of not proud of myself at all. I felt everyone does this now. I felt like I wasted a lot of time in college. I felt that I didn't really work as hard for it as college, like as I should have to earn something like this. And going forward, trying to find a job, how do I not give off that vibe that she was talking about? And
well, you just didn't give off that vibe right now. So
I think so.
Like, what would it look like if you went to a job interview? What would giving off that vibe look like?
Being in a job interview in general and talking about how great you are and all your accomplishments and bullshitting about how awesome my internships were, where I really was worthless and did, like, it was just so pointless. And I feel like that's what I have to do because I've been in job interviews before and I wanted to be honest and...
Don't worry, we know you don't know anything.
But I can't, but being super self-deprecating in a job interview, no one wants to hire that.
That's right. No, you're absolutely
Where
right.
I feel like I don't know what I'm doing.
We know. So, yeah, a certain amount of bullshit is necessary. So, you have to just bullshit a little bit. It's cool. But here's the difference between being that person and the person you want to be. If that person thinks that the whole job and the job interview is about them, and the person you are / want to be thinks the whole job interview and job is about the job. So as long as you keep your focus on what is needed to get this job done? What skills do I have that can help me get this job done? What does this job require that I possess? It'll be good. But if you're like, I should get this job because I got a gold star for this or that, or I had this internship and blah, blah, it doesn't matter. But if you're, everybody in the job interview thinks that it's about them. You, the interviewer, the boss of the interviewer. But if you drop that first, this isn't about me. This is about you, not in a self-deprecating way, but in a, that's what a job is. You will give off great fun. So keep your focus on that. That's just my advice. I don't know everything. Good luck. And congratulations. Congratulations. It's a big deal to graduate. One more.
I have a two-part thought, and the first is I really like that you talk about courage and a mindfulness coming from a place of courage and that caring coming from a place of courage. Because when I first heard about loving kindness and meditation 10 years ago, it felt like being a doormat. It felt like no matter, come what may, I'm going to be nice to you. And it's not. And it really is being stable enough and full enough that come what may, it doesn't shake that stability. So that's the first part, and I'm really glad that you mentioned that. And the second, I have to speak in defense of millennials, because that exchange, it alienated me. It must have alienated a third of this audience just looking at fresh faces in the room or age faces.
Why?
Because there's this perception of millennials don't work hard enough, and what's missing is that level of we're all special and we're all awesome is just a platform of freedom. It starts you at a place where you're not afraid to fail because you have confidence. Someone invested 15, 18 years into building your confidence so that when you go out, you can try new things. You can be both personally and professionally invested in creating something amazing in the world. You can collaborate because that's what you've been taught as a skill, not as, oh, I have to ask your opinion because we're in a meeting and I'm here to ask your opinion, but because everything you've done in the preceding 18 or 25 years has been about a group connection and about creating something that's not just, I'm going to climb this corporate ladder. It's going to be me, one person, and my seniority matters. It's been about how do we as a group impact the 100,000 people that follow us on Twitter or that we know exist on the internet in sub-Saharan Africa. And I think it's a really open platform, and it breaks my heart when I see this disconnect because it's a different way of doing work and it's a different way of relating to what your job is. But don't undermine it because we're gonna, well, not you, not you specifically, but kind of as a generation, don't undermine it. If for no other reason than in 10 years we're going to be in the positions of power and like, it's just a bad climate.
Well, okay, so I appreciate you bringing up that point. And you were talking about two different things, however, I would say. We're talking about the mindset of everybody told me I was great so I don't have to try. That's not what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about a different quality of the same generation, which is being out only for yourself has created an effed up situation, and that's not how to do it, and we have to be interdependent and not independent. That's awesome. These are two different things, though, and no one would ever diss this. In fact, we're counting on you, like majorly. So, because we should do it. So now, you know, I see that a lot in my, 12,000 person community. I'd say a third of the people are millennials, and I see that a lot, and it is different than the way I was brought up. So, and it is necessary, but they're separate. So if anybody felt insulted, please accept my apology and also my appreciation for your focus on and the importance of collaboration. And also thank you for pointing out that being compassionate doesn't mean being an ass hat. It means being authentic. So thank you.